Democratic state senators are asking to open an oversight review into a report that your office spent almost $450,000 of CARES Act money on salaries. I wanted to get you to respond to that, and also you've been talking for months about transparency for every dollar spent through CARES Act, possibly putting up a website. What's the status of that?
I'll check on that. I thought the website was up. I know that our local communities and our local governments are using that to submit their request. So our goal is to make sure that that's available to Iowans and to taxpayers. CARES funding can be used for salaries. That's very clear in what allowable allocations are. The money that's available to the state COVID response, you have to meet a certain criteria. And so the job requirements that are significantly changed due to COVID is one of those requirements, and I'll give you an example, Kathy, why that $300,000 we believe is will apply is okay. When COVID hit on March 8th, I think, is when we had our first 3 cases. I moved the entire team out to the State Emergency Operations Center because I felt like it was extremely important, and I think that was one of the reasons that we were able to respond to COVID in the manner that we did, was to have everybody at the State Emergency Operations Center hearing and seeing the same information, communicating, collaborating, putting a system together so that we would finally be able to know the number of vents, the number of beds, the number of hospitalizations, how we put those surge plans in place, how we work with our hospital system so that we meet our first objective, which was to stabilize, which was to protect the health and well-being of Iowans, especially those most vulnerable, make sure that we're managing our healthcare resources so that we don't overwhelm and really have significant impact on our healthcare systems in order to flatten the curve and start to address COVID-19. So for my office, that meant half of us actually came out to COVID and worked 7 days a week straight, probably 9 to 10 hour days on COVID-19. That's all we did for the most part. You know, I mean, we had to continue to operate state government, but I mean, that's where the majority of our focus was. Team Capital, back at the Capitol, which was the other half of the my team, actually moved upstairs, and they were in full response to Iowans to answer questions, to get information out, and it took all of them working around the clock, similar timelines, to meet the needs of Iowans and answer the questions that they had during a very, very difficult, unprecedented time in our state. So I have absolutely no problem submitting the $300,000 for the additional expense and salaries in our office. And some of our staff are actually shared, or they're funded through other agencies. And I didn't think that it was fair for them to pick it up when this is an expense that's qualified.
And the last